that position that really runs the line between confidence and cockiness. You know, that's you got to be that way. You got to be confident that you're going to win that fight. Nobody goes into like, yeah, I took this fight, but I think I'm going to lose. You know, like it's like that's just stupid.
It's been a while, man.
Yeah, it has. How you
I
been?
expected you to be back. I've been good, man. I expected you to be back, like, earlier this year, but I guess,
A little faster. Yeah, I was
yeah.
hoping to. I had the fight scheduled with Chase originally for April, and
Hmm.
then I got COVID, so we had to reschedule. And they were so booked up and busy that they couldn't get me in until August. And then I was hoping to maybe try and get another one before the end of the year, but they were still solidly packed up. So
You know what's crazy is that they have more shows than ever, but they're
yeah,
still having problems booking people like quick turnarounds. It's like they have
yeah,
to wait 4 months or something.
yeah. It's like 2, 3 months out sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. To me that's very odd. Like there's all these spots, but they're always signing so many people too at the same time, right? They're
I know. Yeah, yeah. It's like the roster just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and they just keep filling the slots and filling the slots. So
Yeah, man. I don't know if
I
that's a
don't know how
good
it
thing or a
works, man.
bad thing for the fighters.
Well, hopefully both.
Yeah,
Like
hopefully, hopefully.
bad in the sense of there's more competition, but good in the sense of like there's more competition and more opportunities to fight.
Yeah, for sure. Let's jump into February 19th, man. Your upcoming fight, Las Vegas. You're back at the Apex. You return against Alan Baudot. I think that's how you say it. It's French, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
Thoughts on
I feel
yeah.
bad that I probably butchered the guy's name so many times.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy that doesn't know how to pronounce somebody's name, but
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it's Alan Baudot.
I think we're
And
all guilty of that,
yeah,
sometime in our life, right? So we
it's
just
not
guess.
intentional.
Yeah.
It's not intentional.
Yeah. So he's had two fights so far in the UFC. Thoughts on his run and the style that he brings to this fight.
I think he brings a good style that matches up well for me. He's a solid kickboxer. He looks like he's comfortable on the ground. I've seen some decent throws and takedowns in some of his earlier matches, but mostly just his kickboxing game. Yeah, I mean he's had a tough run. He's had some stacked competition in front of him already against making his debut against Aspinall. The fight he most recently had with Rodrigo Nascimento, that he got put away in the second round with. Yeah, I'm excited for the fight, man. I'm just excited to be back in there and be doing what I love doing and staying active. I'm not the youngest guy in the division, so I'm trying to cash in on as many fights as I can and stay active and relevant and really make the most out of my time here.
With his last fight, right? He got knocked out in the second round, and then Nascimento was popped by USADA, suspended for 6 months. To me, I think that's messed up because he got knocked out and his opponent popped for something. I forgot what it was, but he was
I
suspended. Do
don't
you
know
think?
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The details are fuzzy, but the punishment, man, for banned substances. Do you think it should be harsher, especially when the guy that he beat, he got knocked out?
Yeah, I mean, like, I do think that as a whole in the sport, like obviously the cleaner the sport is, the safer and longer of a career that everybody's going to have. You look at it like cumulatively, maybe it's not like an instantaneous like detriment to somebody's health, but cumulatively over the years, if somebody's hitting you, say like 5 or 10% even harder than they could naturally, that's 5 or 10% more over compounded over, we'll say 5 to 6 years of fighting 2 and 3 times a year. That's a lot of punishment. That's a lot of extra punishment that can really shorten up a guy's career or have some really long lasting effects. So I'm all for, keeping everything as clean as we possibly can and making sure that it's as level of a playing field as we can have.
And especially, your guys are heavyweights, man. It's just a different
Yeah,
kind of power, right? A different kind of.
totally different. Anybody, you see plenty of guys with really good knockout power in the light heavyweight and middleweight division. And then once you get up over 200 pounds, like it's like if you just know how to throw a decent punch, not even a great punch, you've got not potential to knock somebody out in a single shot.
Especially with the hammers you have, man. Your hands are freaking gigantic, right? I think you
Yeah.
have the biggest hands, right, in the division.
I don't know if I have the biggest hands, but they're definitely up there. You know? I think I got like a 3X glove. I think at one point, like when Shane Carwin was still active, I think he had like the record for like a 4 or 5X, or like him and Brock Lesnar or something. Yeah, I was like, fish. I got some beefy paws, but those are really big hands.
Have you ever seen a heavyweight with small hands?
No, I mean, yeah, not once. Like I'm nothing like abnormal looking, like it doesn't look like it fits their body, but like, you know, if a big person has proportional hands, then they probably have big hands as well.
Speaking of size, man, do you feel like that's going to be a factor in this upcoming fight? Like how, because he doesn't seem like such a big heavyweight compared to you.
No, I definitely think he's on the smaller side, and I kind of like I always considered myself a somewhat of a smaller heavyweight in the sense of like the height and reach part of things, but I obviously am always towards the top of the weigh-ins. You know, I'm always around 260, 65. So I guess weight-wise, you know, I'm one of the bigger heavyweights. I'm certainly not cutting to make 265, but I think he's walking around closer to like 240, 230. And a lot of his earlier fights in his career were at even lighter weights. I think he even had a couple of middleweight bouts early on in his career. So I'm intrigued by that a little bit. You know, I'm expecting him, because he's used to being lighter and a little bit smaller, I'm expecting him to be kind of quick and be sharp with everything. But I think, yeah, when it comes time to pressure in and move forward, like that's going to be something that's a little more difficult for him to handle.
A few events back, there was a historic moment in the UFC heavyweight division when Justin Tafa missed weight. What'd you think of that?
Yeah. I mean, he's in the record books now, I guess. Right? It may not be the most flattering reason, but yeah, I was really surprised by that. I've never, you know, it's never happened before. It's a big weight class, and it's usually guys that are walking around over that do pretty good job of cutting to make it, and it's I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about that. I almost feel bad for the guy that's going to follow him around now as like the first ever heavyweight in UFC history to miss weight.
I think people forgot already, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like we pay attention. You know, you and me, you're in the division. I cover the sport.
How much was he even over by? Was
not
like
much? Yeah,
like
it
that?
was nothing. Yeah, it was nothing. But
yeah, that's not like, you know, that's not like coming in like 10 pounds over or something like that.
If it was like 280, you know.
Yeah, it'd be like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I think that there should be another division, to be honest with you. You know, like you mentioned earlier about your opponent, he's coming in at like 230. I think there should be a 220 division, and then the rest of, and then have like a real heavyweight,
or even
you know,
like a 230, and then like, you know,
no,
230 and up with no limit.
Exactly,
like
right? Would that be something that you'd be interested in? It's like, don't worry about your weight at all. You know, of course you're gonna take care of your body during camp, but
yeah, you know what?
Honestly,
Honestly, if they made that lighter weight class, I'd probably be looking to drop down into that lighter weight class. Okay. Yeah, because even as much as I'm comfortable and feeling good and athletic, I could definitely lean out more than I am right now, and I could make 230 for sure. Okay. 205 would be too much of a stretch.
Yeah.
230, 225, I could make that
for sure. And you know, your last fight was in August. You know, that gives you a lot of time to train without a fight coming up. Did you get to do any cross training or work with people outside your inner circle?
Not so much with guys outside my inner circle, because my inner circle is pretty tight, but my circle in general is pretty broad, and I got a lot of I'm pretty open relationship with a lot of the gyms in the area in New England as well. But it really gave me a lot of time to really just kind of go back to the drawing board with my team and really just fine tune some things that weren't as crisp as we wanted them to be, and really sharpen them up to make sure for the next one we're just doing better and better with each fight and making better progressions each time.
Without, you know, giving too much away, what did you exactly work on?
I was just like tightening up my footwork, some better striking. Obviously, conditioning is always key. Just trying to get stronger in general, and just overall improve everywhere that, you know, we saw some holes in the last 3 performances.
Yeah, it seems like footwork is something that you can never not get better at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's always room to improve on that.
and balance, right? Especially with striking, like having
Balance.
certain
Yeah.
balance.
If you get all these guys, you could throw a punch, but if you're off balance, you're falling into the punch, or you're moving this way or moving that way. I'm thankful that I've never really had to work too much directly on my balance. I've always had naturally good balance. But recently during conversations with my striking coach, that was one of the things that we were talking about that really kind of separates the really good and great strikers from the elite strikers is not just their ability to feint and set things up with their footwork and whatnot, but their balance and ability to recover, or when somebody catches a leg and they don't just fall over like, a fainting goat or something.
Yeah. When you watch the guys that really like break down footage, like those analysts, like true analysts, not guys that
Yeah.
are just like talking shit. They show you like exactly from the footage of like guys leaning forward too much, off balance,
Right.
and that's how they
And
got taken advantage of. And like,
yep. And it's such small little detailed increments too. Like it's really just like being like a half inch or 2 inches too far forward or over your lead knee or your back, like standing up just a little bit too tall. It's really those minute details that those guys catch. And it's really always interesting to see those things and how other people view them.
yeah, and that's why the Anderson Silva Forrest Griffin fight is just so phenomenal to watch, because
Yeah.
Forrest Griffin would throw punches and he'd be like an inch away from Anderson's face, and then
Yep.
Anderson would just throw like a jab. Remember, he knocked him out with a jab.
Yeah. I was like, that was an incredible fight. And he was like, it was like watching him dance. He was just enough out of the way, which is perfect. That's the most ideal kind of head movement and footwork you want, where you're not so far removed that you've taken your counter away from yourself, but you've evaded the damage and the attack, and you're still ready to strike right back with minimal effort.
The last two fights, man, you were the underdog and you've come through. This time around, you're the clear favorite. Does that change anything for you? Mentally or anything?
Yeah, it doesn't change anything for me. I changes stuff for people betting on me. That's the only thing. Doesn't change.
That's an interesting angle too. Is like, do people reach out to you like ahead of fights, or do you kind of like shut that out on the betting side?
No, nobody's ever reached out to me beforehand, but I've had a couple of people reach out over social media afterwards and be like, dude, you made me so much money. Thank you. Great job. Great work. I'm like, all right, happy to help, man. Here's my Venmo.
Yeah, shoot me 10%, man, at least, right?
Yep, throw me a couple bucks if you're feeling it.
For sure, man, for sure. With the training camp, like you said, you have a tight inner circle. Did you decide to bring any like heavyweights in to help you for this camp?
No, not so much for this camp. I think moving forward, I might need to do that with certain people as I start to kind of climb the ranks a little more and get people with definitive styles or certain ways. But my guys are all pretty good at mimicking certain styles that aren't too out of the norm. And we do a really good job of just repping things out and taking it nice and slow and breaking things down into smooth movements, and that works for both sides, with the guy who is trying to mimic a style that's not really his own, and for me to work on what I'm trying to do to counter that style.
For sure. Now, you're riding this momentum, man, back-to-back wins. It almost feels like this matchup is perfect for you to get your first finish in the UFC. Do you see that?
I do. That's one thing, without, like you said, going too much into detail and stuff, but I can see this being that first finish. I don't expect this fight to go to the judges.
Yeah, you probably won an early night after going 15 minutes in both fights last time, right?
Yeah, it's like, you look up the stats of some of these guys as far as like the amount of time spent in the cage. And I've already got almost 35 minutes already in my 3 fights.
Yeah, for sure. A few more questions, man, before I let you go. MMA fans, man, they are some unique people out there, right, that watch this sport, and you probably have dealt with them throughout the years.
It definitely runs the gambit.
Yeah. What do fans obsess about too much that fighters really don't care about?
How we're feeling going into a fight, like when somebody's like, how are you feeling? You know, constantly, how you feeling? How's this going? How's that going? It's like, you know, and I'm good, man. Like, you got your head on straight. Yeah, I'm good. I don't need you questioning me or throwing extra things in my head for me to think about. I'm like, nah, fighters don't really care to be asked, you know, like, how do you feel? Like, we're always going to answer good. Even if we don't feel good, we're going to be like, no, I'm good. You know, nobody's going to walk into a fight and be like, I feel like shit. I got this bum knee. You know, like, it's just not stuff we're going to say. That's not who we are.
It's too revealing, right? Like you're
it's
entering a fight.
revealing, you know, and it also, like, it invites a poor mindset, you know, like, even if you did have some kind of injury you're working through or you're not feeling the greatest, you got to try to kind of, you know, do a little mental foolery on yourself to convince yourself that you are fine, even if you're not.
Yeah. I talked to somebody about this recently about delusion too. You know what I mean? Fighters do need a certain level of delusion in their mind about themselves, right? Because that's somewhere your confidence can come from that.
It's that position that really runs the line between confidence and cockiness. You know, you got to be that way. You got to be confident that you're going to win that fight. Nobody goes into like, yeah, I took this fight, but I think I'm going to lose. You know, like, it's like, that's just stupid.
It's a crazy sport, man, because like other sports you could say that you could kind of say those things, right? You don't feel good,
like, oh, I'm not really feeling great, we'll see how it goes. It's like, well, okay, but you're not gonna get like physically harmed because of that. Like, you'll get messed up in this game if you come out saying stuff like that or give somebody else too much confidence to really just press forward when they might be a little more reserved.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about injury reports, you know, like in the NFL or baseball or anything, there's always injury reports, right? Ahead of the fight, this guy's questionable or this guy's knee has been banged up. He ain't practicing. But in fighting, there is none of that. You can't.
No, there's nobody talks anything about injuries or anything like that. Rightly so, man. You don't want, like, if I had, you know, like, if I was having issues with my shoulder, we'll say, for example, I'm not going to broadcast that and then, like, you know, oh, I don't expect this dude's jab to be as sharp as it normally is because his shoulder's messed up, or like his hands are going to be lower, so I'm going to try and come over the top, or we're going to really clinch hard, because, you know, like, those are all things that are just going to totally screw the pooch for you, you know?
Yeah, it is. What do you think about fighters, you know, like going into a fight, but you know your opponent has an injury? Is it something that you would want to attack? Like, is that something that just shines in your mind?
Not to sound, you know, like a dick, but yeah, absolutely. You're looking as a fighter, like, we're prize fighters, man. We're trying to win. We're trying to get that win bonus. We're trying to get that performance bonus. And I'm looking for every chink in your armor that you have. Like, I'm trying to, every little detail that I could capitalize on. I absolutely am, you know. I'm not going to be heartless about it. You know, like, if you're, you know, I know your knee's messed up and I catch you in a knee bar, you know, I'm not going to crank it any harder than I have to do it to get the win. But yeah, I'm absolutely going to attack any weaknesses I know about.
I appreciate the honesty, man, because if I was a fighter, I would be attacking any
Absolutely,
weakness.
Man. We're not there to win. Like, I'm all for good sportsmanship and like a fair level playing field for the fight and stuff, like we were talking about the drug testing and the doping and stuff like that. But you know, at the end of the day, like, my career depends on me winning. My wallet, my bank account, and what I can do for my family and my kids depends on me getting that win bonus. You know, that's a big game changer, especially at the lower levels of this. So yeah, I'm doing everything I can within the rules to win.
Speaking of money, Kevin Lee, he just signed with Eagle FC, and Eagle FC is going to pay him in crypto. You know, what are your thoughts on cryptocurrency, and would you ever, you know, dance with the idea of getting paid your fight purse in crypto?
You know, I don't know. Maybe a portion of it. I'm not super familiar with it. I know I got a bunch of friends that are all like, they got their face buried into it, and they're like, it's the wave of the future. And then other people are like, you know, the bubble's going to burst and it's going to be worthless. My personal thought on it is, it's imaginary money. So I would prefer the real money that I could do something with. And then, if it starts to take off, I'll start to invest a little bit here and there. But I definitely wouldn't want my full fight purse to be in fake money.
Yeah. Well, you're not gonna get any fake money or so-called fake money, because if your friends heard that are deep into crypto, they'd probably be pissed off at you, right? But
yeah, I know, and I don't mean to piss anybody off. It's I'm really curious to see how it's going. It's obviously been around for a lot longer than people realize, and it's been continuing to gain momentum and stuff. And it's becoming more widely accepted in various places, especially for any like online ordering and stuff like that. But right now, personally, I could use some good cold hard cash over some crypto. The things I need in my life are much easier to buy with money, with real money.
Well, February 19th, man, they're gonna transfer some cold hard cash to your bank account. Thank you, Parker, man, for the time.
Thank you, brother.